Butterflies, and welcome to Butterfly Tea Time. I hope you have your tea and your coffee ready. Today we're diving in with Shantta Stevens as she's launching her whole new book. Hello, Shantta. Hello, Delibra. How are you guys doing?
Hey, girl.
Excited.
Good.
So you guys, I'm sure that you've been seeing a lot of action going on in Lupus Glitter as far as Shantta launching her book, The Hunt for Enough. So we're going to be kind of working through this book, talking about what inspired her to create this book. I've done many lives about it. It is a pretty active book where you can do a lot of work on yourself and really digress through some things that you've gone through. And Shantta is here sharing her journey with us today.
Yes, I am.
I'm very excited about this book, Shantta. I think it was very, very well done. And I think that there's a lot that we could do together as a group involving this book.
That means a lot, Fee. That means a lot.
So what inspired you to create this book, Shantta? I'm curious.
Oh, girl. The trauma that I went through and the trauma that led me to suicide. So when I battled suicide I battled suicide for over 30 years.
Oh.
So not finding my enough till I was well into my 30s was not something I could accept for my daughter, for my sisters, for my best friends, for any person that I cared about, for anybody I knew, for people, period. I said, just feeling like you were so low that you had to kill yourself.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it. It's not the way to go. There's so many other options available that people just aren't aware of. There's so many other ways to take yourself out of that mind frame that people aren't aware of. And a lot of people, like we were talking about earlier, don't have the access to counseling. So I said, what can I do? I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor, The only thing I can do, I did become a life coach, certified in cognitive behavioral therapy. That's more like mindfulness if people don't know. But I did that and kind of merged everything that I like to do with it so I could help people believe that they were enough so they wouldn't try to kill themselves. Basically, in a nutshell.
Wow. I really myself appreciate you sharing everything that you learned through all of the work that you did to heal past trauma and forgiveness and just sharing that whole journey with us. I found a lot of help throughout this book, and I don't think it matters what your trauma is. If you have something to forgive, if you need to love yourself, if you need to work through some things, this is your book. It's a very, very well done book.
Oh,
and I will say that I really enjoy the fact that you did do larger print. So you guys, how when you're like sitting in your room with a dim light and you can barely see the words, like she really, really made it bold print. So it's an easy read from the dim light. So you can kind of relax and just kind of go into yourself and work through all the worksheets that she put in there.
And it's a lot of them.
Yeah.
You by the time you finish the book, you should ultimately feel like you're enough for real. Not just saying it to be cute because it sounds good, but you should actually feel like your life is about to change. You really should. That's all the stuff that I put in that book is everything I had to work through myself. So I went through the therapy, I went through counseling, then I went through this professionally. and learned it professionally as a life coach.
Wow.
So knowing both ends of the spectrum as a patient and a professional, it really helped me to learn just how real our thinking matches to our behavior. Like if we feel like we're not enough, we're going to be stuck in that feeling, and they're going to be stuck in that depression and those suicidal thoughts. So finding our enough, our self-worth, our self-value, our what gives our life meaning, what gives us fuel, those things are important to living an unrecognizable life that we desire. So I just tried to get that across in the book as many ways as I could. All the routes that I took to find my enough, I put in the book. And I hope that everybody else can work through whatever trauma, even if it's not for me. And the character in the book, Kasira, it was more sexual trauma, you know. We both were raped multiple times. We both had suffered by the hands of molesters. We both had been assaulted multiple times and lived a life of somebody who was just a victim for so long that we just yielded to depression and yielded to those suicidal thoughts. So I felt like in sharing the similarities between me and her, that would get the point across. So I'm glad to know that you said that, it's a good read, because I feel like it was going to be too hard for people to really digest.
And sorry. I can speak personally that my trauma isn't sexual. My trauma was being tormented in school to the point where I would hide in the bathroom every single lunch. I found later in life that I would if I was in a super crowded situation with too much energy coming my way, I always cut to the bathroom. And that's where I maybe redo my gloss, or maybe I'll vape my e-cig, or maybe I'll check my messages or my emails. But that is my way, and that's still kind of like a Rembrandt of my past way of dealing with that. So this is for all trauma. This isn't for one trauma. This is for anything you've gone through in life that you maybe don't even realize that you're still carrying with you.
Yeah. It's for the stuff that you feel is unforgivable. The stuff that you feel like you can't get cured of. I put my lupus journey in there, So of course everybody knows my lupus story of how I couldn't walk at one point, and everything just hurt so bad to where I gained so much weight that I was like 311 pounds, and having to reinvent myself and reframe my mind and how I'm thinking about myself in order for me to even take those steps. That took a lot. So I knew that other people needed to know how to do it for themselves. So hopefully people can get that from the book.
I think that I'm really, and to piggyback, I really appreciate the fact that you wrote this book, because when I was reading the book, I thought about childhood experiences, some sexual things that happened that should have not happened. I thought about the lupus journey, some of the stuff that we place blame on ourselves, and some stuff we did the best that we could in a situation trying to survive. Exactly. And I like that you gave us the worksheets to work through and talk about what do you need to let go of, what you need to forgive yourself for. And sometimes forgiving yourself is a big deal. Like forgiving the other people, sometimes you can forgive the other people easier than you can forgive yourself, because it's like I should have known better. I should have done something differently. I should have, a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda things about yourself, but you can be more forgiving to others. And that's what I found when I was working through the book. Like, okay, so you forgave them for whatever, but forgive yourself, because some of the stuff you couldn't have prevented.
That's right.
And you worked through it the best way that you could. So
that's right. I talk about the shoulda, coulda, wouldas in the book.
Yes.
We always try to blame ourselves based on what should have, could have, or would have happened differently. You know, when that's, we think about what's going on now. What can we do with the pain of yesterday? How can we use that to move forward and to be a blessing in somebody else's life that's dealing with the same thing, you know? It's always somebody else.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that you're really transparent about this, because so oftentimes we don't even address that. It's like we go into a deep hiding place, and that's part of what causes the suicidal thoughts and the depression and all the other things, because you feel isolated.
Yeah.
Like you're the only one, but you're not the only one. And a book like this will help people work through all kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, you'll cry some a lot, or cry a lot, because I did. But it was very therapeutic, and I had my notebooks, and I was just writing and crying and looking back, and I went back and I looked again, I wrote again. So it's a journey, and I can appreciate that, because sometimes it's not a one time in a lifetime. I mean, you have to tweak some things, but it's a reminder, okay, you're going to get through this. You got through this before, but it's like a check, like say something positive to yourself. So it was so much in the book that it just touched my heart.
Thank you, sis.
And I actually did mine on a blank piece of paper so that I could preserve the book and continue to work through this, because I think that these aren't a one-time use exercise. I think that we continually grow and make progress, and these are exercises that you can go and revisit over and over.
Absolutely. And I did it in a notebook, in a journal, and I dated it so I can see how I evolved over the years, because I feel like what Fee said, that it is a process. It is an evolution, that you change and you grow.
That's right.
So even with that, I was like, I can deal with this clown better.
Right. That's what I want you to get.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, looking at the girl in the mirror. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a page in the book that teaches you how to deal with your past, where it teaches you how to tap into your past coping mechanisms, the ones that were successful in the past. It teaches you how to tap into what you did right then so you can use it right in this situation. Because a lot of times we can't see our way out of a situation when we're in the middle of it, but we've actually won before, and we don't give ourselves enough credit. You know, we have everything in us to make it through what we're going through, but we can't see past what we have right now.
Yeah.
So learning how to remember and recall and strategize based on what worked for us in the past is a good way to move forward and to see yourself working through the future. So that's a good topic to bring up. Somebody reading.
I also love, Shante, when you mentioned what forgiveness is and what forgiveness is not. I thought that was a very good point. Sometimes we think that we forgive and we really haven't forgiven.
Yes. And that was me for so long. I think that's why I was stuck for that 30 plus years. Because I was going in and out of church. I was being delivered, and I was going up to the pastor and saying, I forgive him, I forgive. But then I'm still, when I go home, I'm still weighed down from the pain of it all, from the memories of it all.
Yeah.
You know, but how do you get past all of that? By forgiving. You got to let go. And it wasn't until I was able to forgive myself for giving up on myself, for blaming myself, for believing it was my fault, for allowing them to keep me stuck, you know, for allowing them to keep me stuck in those situations. It wasn't until I forgave myself, them, and God, because I blamed God. Yeah, I gonna see in the book. And a lot of times I think we do that. We do that because God, you allowing this to happen. You know, just make a difference. Just change it some kind of way. You know, I can't be made just to be tortured my whole life. And that's how I felt at one point. Like I was just made just for other people's pleasure, just for the pleasure of other people. And I considered myself that way. And so that's what kept me stuck. but learning how to forgive, working through the stages of forgiveness, learning what forgiveness was it what it wasn't, learning that people have a reason for doing what they do. Some hurt people, but healed people heal people. So I figured I would be on that spectrum instead of trying to be another person to hurt somebody else because of what was done to me.
I love that you were able to take your power back, because that's a hard place to get to, the place where you're able to take your power back, to be able to forgive yourself and to move forward.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the way that you're sharing this is making it easier for other people to kind of think about some things that happen in their life and how they can take their power back and forgive themselves, and how they
Yeah.
can find self. You're more than your experience. Like when we talk about lupus, you're more than just lupus. You're more
Exactly.
than that. Those bad things don't define who you are as a person. Yes, you went through some
Exactly.
traumatic things, but that does not have to stop or define your life.
Exactly.
That's what I'm hearing in what you're saying.
Exactly.
And I love that.
Thank you, sis. Thank you.
And I mean, you truly can work on so many different things through this book. I know for me, I always felt very rejected and misunderstood. So I would almost see things through the lens of that people weren't going to understand me. So I would like hold things inside, and people, like, I would take things as rejection very easily because I had scars, and just working through that and realizing that that's something you're seeing through your own lens, that maybe it's reality anymore, but it's something that you experienced and it's residual damage to your soul that you have to work through.
Yeah. We tend to reflect what happens to us out into the world and onto ourselves.
Yeah.
So we hold on to that pain and turn it into who we are, and that's not what it's meant for. Pain is come to stretch us. It comes to teach us.
Yeah.
It comes to empower us, comes to show us who we are, and who we're meant to be. So pain has its reason. We just have to reframe the way we think.
Yeah,
get out our stuckness.
Because we can completely recreate that for our future time and time and time again if we don't heal from it.
Yes. Going through the same thing, you find yourself repeating, seeing the same type of dudes, the same type of jobs, failing business after business, the same experiences. You'll find yourself repeating the same experiences until you learn from them, until you learn who you're supposed to be because of it, So it took me a while to understand that. But when I finally did, y'all got the book.
Yes. Yes. Can you give us 3 key things that you would like to say to people who haven't read the book? Anything.
Okay. First, reframe your negative beliefs and thoughts into positive, life affirming statements. Call them affirmations, whatever you want to call them. But whatever you believe is going to affect how you live your life.
Yeah.
It's going to affect how you respond to life. So reframing those negative thoughts with positive, like flipping them. If you feel like you're not enough, I'm more than enough. I can do anything I set my mind to. Anything that's coming for me today, I got it. You know what I'm saying? That has a totally different energy to it.
Yeah.
When you walk around feeling, oh, I can't do this today. Today is not the day. Then today is not going to be the day. That's just how it is. So we have to speak what we want for our lives. Then we will get that back in return. We can't expect God to move on something that we're not believing in the first place. We can't expect to be aligned with the universe, and then we going against the flow. We can't expect it. So that's one. Next, find your why. That was what was the most important for me, was finding my why. Y'all, my reason for being here. What gives me fuel? What makes me want to wake up in the morning? What makes me sleep so good at night, knowing that I did a good job that day? You know, what's your why? What do you think about without even trying? What pushes you on the days when you don't have nothing in your tank? You know, that's your why. When you lean into that, have you ever noticed that when you're out volunteering and giving back to the community, you forget about yourself? You can be hurting. Look, you can be hurting. You go out and volunteer and you get what? Your mind is caught up in what you're doing. It's not caught up in that pain. So you're focused on bringing healing. So we should definitely learn to lean more into our why and take the action steps needed to get there. Woo.
I love that. And you know what? I'm taking notes, and I wanted to say this. You have single-handedly explained what so many people have been in search of, and this book is the perfect title because you're giving yourself your identity. Your identity is not found in your trauma. You're speaking positive words over yourself, your self-affirmations, because you identify who you are. You know who you are. You're not going to let a trauma, an experience, whatever, define who you are. And you're taking action. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
I will say that after reading the book and doing a lot of the homework assignments that I never thought that I did talk negatively to myself. I've always thought I was a very positive person, but I'm like, oh, that's how I'm talking to my inner child. Like that was kind of rude to myself. Like just little things that I've been able to kind of no, I mean you can it's not immediate, but you can kind of like change the thoughts that you're having by kind of correcting yourself. Like, well, no, I'm gonna have patience for me today. I can do a horrible job. That's not true. And it's almost like you're battling your negative self-talk until your good self-talk kind of like overpowers it, and then it becomes habitual.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's this quote? It's a quote that Les Brown, I'm gonna paraphrase. What he said, allow someone else's belief in you to carry you until you can believe in yourself. So until you can believe in yourself, allow someone else's belief to carry you. And that right there touched me because for so long, I didn't believe in myself. But everybody else would always be telling me I'm this, I'm that, you know, I'm talented, I can do this. You can dance, you can write, you can do all this, you can model, you can do. No, but if I don't see anything in myself, then nothing you say is going to change how I'm feeling.
I love that because it's one of the things that I always tell Gabby, and I always tell her, you can do all things through Christ. And they're just like, your identity is not defined by just people. Don't let people define you, that you're not limited. And I love that the way that you said that. And sometimes she looked at me like, I don't understand this math. I was like, but you're going to understand. You're going to be okay. You're going to get it. And then when she mastered it, she was like, Mom, it was okay.
Wow.
But just like you said, like just believing in being around positive people, I think that's an important thing. People that support you and understand what's inside of you, who don't speak negative things over you.
Yes. So important.
And cutting off negative connections even.
Yeah.
It's important. It's important.
It is because if we're in the presence of someone that's constantly critical or harsh to us, it's almost like the brain just predicts something negative. Like you start to get the vibration of who you're surrounded with and what their reactions are to certain things. And next thing you know, their voice is in your head saying negative things before they even say it. So it is important to have your tribe and to have your circle and support system and to stay away from negativity and to try to work on your own negativity towards yourself.
We have to learn our triggers. For me, whenever something triggers me, whenever my energy changes, that's how I know I'm triggered.
Yeah.
Like if I go from up to all of a sudden then I know something has affected me, you know, and I need to step in before I stay down too long. I never let myself, if I'm crying, I'm not going to allow myself to cry for hours. I'm not going to cry myself to sleep because I know what that means for me. You know what I mean? That only makes us depressed. You know what I'm saying? You have to You have to talk to yourself, coach yourself. Really, like there's times when when my negative self-talk would come in, right?
Yeah.
Be like, oh, girl, not today. Then I'd be like, no, Shannta, no, you know, no. I don't know. It's just something that I do. I've gotten so used to flipping it. I try not to let anything stay in the forefront of my brain too long to where it affect me. And that's recognizing your triggers.
Yeah.
That's identifying your triggers and reframing. So that's when you do it. I mean,
I love that. And every time you say that, I just think about that's knowing yourself. Like that's knowing
yes.
who you are and where you are and not being in denial. And so one of the things for me was confronting yourself, like acknowledging where you said negative things for yourself in the past, acknowledging how you felt negative things about yourself in the past. So
Mm-hmm.
it's getting back to people, life situations happen to everyone, but
Yes.
and you have to do the work. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what keeps coming back to my mind, like being in touch with who you are, being real with who you are, acknowledging and knowing who you are, and reframe, like you said, reframing and speaking positive things when you think a negative thought, like, okay, this gonna be bad, but no, it's gonna be good. I'm gonna make it. I made it through the last time. And like what you said earlier, like even being able to reflect on some things that you made it through and how you made it through, strategies, what helped you make it through, what,
Mm-hmm.
how did you not be stuck? As
Yeah.
you said in the book, how
Exactly.
did you move forward?
Yeah.
What gave you the momentum to keep going?
And you can apply that with anything. I apply that to when I'm having a lupus flare and I get out the hospital and I'm extra fluffy from the steroids. Y'all know I be calling y'all.
And you be looking good. You don't even be fluffy, sis. What you mean?
I'll be extra fluffy and I be worried, because I didn't put on extra weight. But what I do, I chime into the same thing I was doing before I went into the hospital. What was I doing when I was at my heaviest? How did I set those goals for myself again? How do I do that and restructure my life and get back on track? Because it's a bounce back game with lupus. So
Absolutely. And
learning what you did to bounce back will help you bounce back in the future, right?
I
So
like, yeah, I love that. And not to cut you off, but like you said, like you in your mind, like you have a plan and you have intentions,
yeah,
like you have something to work with. And I think sometimes with lupus and anything else, when something new crop up, you don't expect it to happen and you don't quite know what to do with it. So even if it's something new, you can reflect on something that help you got whatever help you got through the last time, even
yeah.
if it wasn't lupus or it was lupus or whatever.
Mhm.
But I love that you have intentions and you have a plan.
Yes,
How did I win last time that I went through this? How did
exactly, exactly.
I know one of the things that I got out of the book was a lot of times, because I'm a very, very soft person. Like I'm very aware of people's expressions, how they might feel about something. And I got to realize that not everyone is that way in the world, but it doesn't mean that they have bad intentions to be mean to me. So that
Mhm.
was something that I was carrying around, is when someone wouldn't talk like with sugar and spice to me, or maybe they would say something really real, my defenses would go up and I would be like, okay, you're going to
Mhm.
hurt my feelings and you're going to be mean. Like, but
Yeah,
after reading the book and doing a lot of that work, I realized a lot of that was my perception. And if I just stay open to what the person is saying without seeing it through my lens, most of the time they
yeah.
do have good intentions, even if they
See?
say it differently than I do. I
Yeah,
kind of slow myself down and really hear them out without saying, oh, they're going to hurt me.
exactly. Because there's too many layers you got to work through. You got to
Yeah,
work through that layer of guilt, that layer of doubt that you have, and you got to try to understand what they're trying to convey to you. And you
right.
got to do that without assuming what they mean. So
Yeah,
you're putting all these extra elements into play when all you got to do is listen with an open heart and open mind.
yes,
Absolutely. And I love that what both of you said. See what you said about your perception and things from the past, like you maybe weighing what they're saying based on some past hurt, or and then you
Mhm.
open up to be able to hear them being blunt. Like, for instance, my daughter is very blunt. She has no filters, and she'll be honest, but she'll give it to you straight. And then sometimes my feelings be hurt. I was like, that was kind of rude. And then she was like, Mom, you the same way. And I was like, am I? And then I thought about it. I am.
Where she get it from?
I am. And I was like, okay, I apologize for the way I said it, but it was said with love.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean it the way that it sounded, if it was, abrupt or a little harsh. And sometimes it was a little harsh because I'm like, okay, get a move on it. It's different sometimes how you speak to your children as opposed to someone else.
Yeah.
But
that's being in an authentic, genuine relationship, and not everything has to be sugar coated. And when you are close with someone, can't they tell you how they feel without those defenses going up? So that's been some of the things that I've been working on with this book.
Absolutely. That's
true. Good deal, y'all.
So you guys, Shantta is going to be launching her book, signing copies, and speaking in Texas. If any of you guys are in the area, she'll be launching this amazing book, The Hunt for Enough. It will be April 29th from 9 o'clock to 1. And what city in Texas is this going to be held, Shantta?
This is going to be in McKinney. So it's going to be at Collin College Community Center. And it's going to be April 29th from 9 to 1. But registration, you can't come to the conference and think you're gonna get a ticket at the door. Registration ends by April 15th.
Okay.
So we provided the link in Lupus Glitter to the conference and the link to the book, just in case people want to grab a copy. But yes, I would love to see all my lupus warriors at the conference.
And so those of you that tuned in, as promised, someone's going to be winning a copy of this amazing book, The Hunt for Enough. All you have to do is just comment your name if you haven't signed in so we know who you are, and comment The Hunt for Enough.
Yes.
So Shantta, how can we support you? How can we get behind you? How can we follow you?
Follow me at Shantta Stevens. There's a lot coming up, so you'll be able to follow everything that's going on with me on my Facebook, on my Instagram page at Shantta Stevens. The website is coming soon. But I'll post that. So that's in the works. I'm excited about that. And just reach out to me. I'm here. I know what it feels like to be stuck. And I'm here. The book is here. I'm here. You are enough. Never forget it.
I love that so much. You guys do not want to miss out on this book. She's going to be giving one away to one of you guys. So we'll give you a couple minutes just to comment The Hunt for Enough, and then we'll announce who won the book. Make sure that you send your address to Shantta Personal Messenger or one of us, and we'll be getting that out to you. And hopefully you guys can tune in for some follow-up episodes. We're going to be doing Reading and Recipe Corner for Butterflies and kind of going through some of the work that she's done in this book and brought to all of us. Yeah. How long did it take you to write this, Shantta?
Ooh, actually, 4 months.
Wow. Was that a day and night, or was it?
Yep, no, 5 months. Yeah, 5 months.
Okay.
Yes, it was a labor of love. I thought it was way longer than that until somebody else asked me this question and I had to look back at my records.
4 months is like really fast to write a book. So it's been inside of you waiting to get out all the information and things that you've learned through all the work you've done.
Yeah.
And I know I'm so grateful that you shared that, because not all of us can afford counseling, which we all want to talk about different resources and ways that you can find help. Maybe if you don't have insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And I know
go ahead.
Libra has a resource to share for us.
The YWCA on a national level offers a lot of counseling, and a lot of the nonprofits offer counseling because so many people do actually need counseling and they cannot afford it. They offer it as a free service, so it is available. You may check into the YWCA and even the YMCA for men. They offer similar programs for people who may need and may not be able to have the money or resources to do those things. So check out the local nonprofits, because they actually do. A lot of them do.
Exactly. And the Suicide Prevention Network, they have resources too.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I started my journey. I never would know about any type of resources anywhere if I wasn't for me having to call one night, you know. So Suicide Prevention Network, Mental Health Alliance.
Okay, looks like we have a lucky winner. Congratulations, Teresa James Williams. You'll be getting your own copy of the
Okay. All right.
Oh, Teresa, you have to go. Teresa's actually in the Dallas area. I
Really?
just tagged her. You have to
Really?
go. You need to come to this. You need to come to this conference, Bull. This is a great. This is something wonderful.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
I
so
hope to see you
amazing.
soon.
I'm trying to think about some more Lupus people. I can't think of. That was the only person name that I popped up for Texas that I could think of. But hey,
Wow.
Teresa, I'm glad you joined us.
Yes.
And you should go to this conference, Bull.
That is
Yes.
so awesome. Well, thank you,
Thank
Shante,
you.
for sharing all of these amazing tips and all the work that you've done for years to get yourself out of that thought and out of that feeling, and to bring it to all of us so that we can get ourselves out.
Thank you, sis. Thank you for having me on.
Well,
Like I'm
congratulations, Teresa, and I hope that you guys can tune in for her launch of her book in Texas. If you're in the area, comment Texas below, and we'll make sure that you get a personal invite.
Yes.
Yeah. Fly free.